Welcome to Faith in Marriage Today. I'm Dr. Mario Sacasa.
And I'm Jason Angelette.
Hey Jason, something looks different about you. Did you get a haircut?
I did. Yeah, a little shave maybe, but there's something else going on.
Something else. What is it?
I think it's the coffee mugs.
Hey, we got a new coffee mug.
We do have new coffee mugs.
No. We got a new studio, man.
New studio.
We look awesome. Doesn't it look great, everybody?
Yeah, this is a great studio. They did a great job with this, so we're very excited to be in our new digs.
Certainly, very happy about it.
Yeah,
so, today we are going to talk about the birds and the bees and how to talk to our kids about the dreaded question, where do babies come from? Answering questions about sex, love, and marriage is a crucial responsibility of being a parent. When we initiate and have appropriate conversations about this topic with our kids, it does something very special. It normalizes it. We often feel uncomfortable talking to our kids about sex because of our own past and baggage and personal hang-ups as adults. But we have to remember that our kids don't have any of that. They have no history of that. So today in our episode, we want to encourage you parents to be brave, talk about sex with your kids, while also giving you some pointers of how to navigate these conversations. So Jason, any thoughts that you have or how you've already begun these conversations with your kids?
Well, it was a little earlier on, I thought that was when I remember talking to my son Jude. A funny story. In the context, so you know my wife, right? She's been battling breast cancer for the past 5 years. And during that time, my son got very intrigued about how the body works because she noticed he was hearing stories about what mommy was going through. So he was actually going to the library and finding books on biology, the body, how the body works. And he would actually have this little binder, and he had a little sheet of paper, and he would open it up, and he would see the cardiovascular system. And so he would draw out the cardiovascular system on the piece of paper, and he would have like a little summary of what the cardiovascular system does. And then you turn the page, and he's got a drawing of the respiratory system, and he's drawn out the lungs and a little summary. Well, a few pages in, I noticed that he's in his book, in his own handwriting, he's drawn out the reproductive system. So the male and the female reproductive system with a summary of how the reproductive system, how it all works. So he actually jumped the gun on me.
Wow.
And had already found out the whole biology of how it works. But he came to me and he was just really confused. I think he got the heart down, the respiratory, circulatory, that's all great. But he's like, Dad, what is this, right? So he's like, I don't know, about 8 or 9, I think about 8 years old, something like that. And I was like, oh, I guess we're starting a little sooner than later. So I just went ahead, and we actually had a great conversation because I brought it back to Genesis, how God created male and female, the responsibility that he gives husbands and wives, an ability to bring new life into the world, new children that is meant to reign with him for all eternity. And that's why marriage is so important, because we have to be faithful to these vows. And when you go to a wedding, the spouses will say these amazing words to each other, that they're going to be faithful and they'll be fruitful and they'll be total and this beautiful gift of one another. And what they said at the altar, they say with their bodies in the marital act. That's why they call it the marital act. So we had this great conversation. He is sitting, he's listening, and just like shaking his head like, yeah, this is, and 45 minutes, like, any other questions? He's like, no, Dad. I'm like, okay, well, we'll talk more about it, son. And I just left.
That's fantastic. And the beauty of that is that you responded first and foremost with love and encouragement, and you're like, all right, well, let's get into this, rather than being like, what are you looking at? Shut that down. No, we'll talk about that when you're a teenager, right?
No.
And then but so often we do that is because we feel uncomfortable with it. But when you step into that, even at an early age, and I think 7 or 8 actually is a good age to really begin having these conversations. What it does is we're preemptive. We set the context of the conversation.
That's right.
Other things are going to happen later. We pray for an end to abortion in Mass. What's abortion? Yeah. People get divorced in their family. What is divorce? Other things happen, and if the kids don't have a context upon which those relationships and those discussions can fit in, it makes it really uncomfortable. Yeah. So kudos to you, and my encouragement certainly with parents is to be preemptive with this, and to not be afraid, and to know that future conversations will be happening. Coming up next, Jason had a chance to visit with Angie Thomas from the Women's New Life Center to talk about the good work they are doing. Take a look.
Welcome back. Angie, great to be with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for the great work that you do. So you're part of the Women's New Life Center and Hope Women's Clinic. Tell us about the history and the mission of the ministry.
Sure will. I'm so happy to be here sharing about this beautiful organization that I started volunteering in about 20 years ago. Wow. So it started in the early 2000s, 2001, in uptown New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And we started, of course, with a mission to promote the sanctity of life, the dignity of women, and the sacredness of sexuality.
Wow.
And it was just a beautiful approach to so many problems that plague, especially women in poverty, and just to be able to love them with Christ's love and with healing. It's just been a beautiful journey of watching the Lord at work.
Yes.
So we started in Uptown New Orleans, like I said, and then we lost everything with Katrina, and opened in Metairie, right next door to, at the time, the busiest abortion clinic in the state.
Yeah, and you say at the time because eventually it closed down. Praise God.
Right. After 40 years of aborting many babies, they closed down. So there's so much hope in the world today.
Yes, indeed.
But after that, we expanded into Baton Rouge, and the Lord provided a place right next door to the abortion clinic there as well. And then fast forward to today, we are also next door to Planned Parenthood on South Claiborne. So 4 times the Lord has provided this unique place to be a ministry of presence right there where the women need us.
You say that being present to those who are in need, and I think that's something that, unfortunately, there's this obviously we're seeing this increased divide in our culture and our nation. And one of the things that I've heard, and we had Ben Clapper on the first episode, that we talked about that being pro-life is also pro-love. It's also pro-woman. Right. At what point did the pro-life movement ever say that it was against women and against loving and showing care for our neighbor, especially women who are in these difficult situations? And what your ministry provides is this great opportunity to show love in these moments of crisis, not to feel like they have to be limited to a choice that's going to cause death and pain, but to give them hope and life.
Real hope, real life. Yes. It's not the lie of the abortion industry.
Yes.
But that, yes, it may be hard, but it's so rewarding at the same time. To allow true empowerment to happen, to give these women hope and healing. We just stand in awe of what these women are capable of, because they don't come from the best circumstances oftentimes. Sure. They do have very difficult things ahead of them. Right. But to empower them with the support they need and want, resources that they need and want, they want to keep their babies. They want to be good mothers.
Because that's what I hear. I hear people say, I had no choice.
That's right.
Yet their choice is abortion, but they feel like that was their only choice. That was the thing that it was more about, they felt like their leg was caught in a bear trap, and this was them trying to escape from it.
That's it. Perfect analogy.
And so what the solution is, not to give them a hacksaw to cut their leg off, but to give them a key to get out of that trap. And what you provide, I feel like, is such a beautiful key that gives them options, real options, and hopeful options, and real opportunities to move forward. So tell us specifically, what does that look like? So someone comes in who's in a difficult situation, how do you assist them, and at what stages?
Yes. So our core outreach is to women in unplanned pregnancies. And so when they come in, they're oftentimes in crisis. And so what we provide is professional counseling and some limited medical services for women in pregnancies. So that professional counseling piece is so important because, as our founder knew to be true, it is deserving of clinical attention.
Yes.
When we see the problem of abortion and we see the problems that lead to that, we need to address those on a deeper level in the mental health realm, and understand that the pregnancy is not the problem, but that all of these surrounding issues are the problem, and that we're going to love you enough not to let that continue. We want to help with the core issues. So that the professional counseling is so important. And then also, of course, pregnancy testing, and then ultrasound. And we often call that the window to the womb, where that very, very powerful tool is used to introduce a woman to her child. And we get to see that with her.
It's such a beautiful moment, with all of our pregnancies, being able to see that new life at the smallest stages and watch it grow, not this growing into a person, but already a person, already a human being with potential, not a potential person, a potential human being. and to give them the opportunity to have that window into the soul, and window into the womb to see that new life. That's beautiful.
Isn't it? And I love that our nurses are just, they love with their eyes, but they don't necessarily have to say a whole lot.
No.
They just show this woman, and like they just get to witness this encounter, this first meeting, if you will. And women are very strong, and if you just give them the tools that they need, they want to keep their children. So when you were saying earlier about the bear trap analogy, it just reminded me that so often in the abortion industry, women go to them and say, I just can't do this. And the abortion industry says, you're right, you can't.
Wow.
I'm going to help you with that. Wow. But when they come to us, what do they hear? I just can't do this. Well, what if you had this? What if we gave you this support? What if we could walk alongside of you? And so we say, you can, and we'll help.
Wow.
And that's really such
that's
a difference.
Empowerment, right? I mean, that's, again, I just see the love, everything that you're saying. I feel the love, I hear the love. I also hear y'all being so supportive of women, of just empowering them to see them bigger than maybe what other industries might look at them, like a dollar amount. So obviously you've got to be seeing amazing impact from people's lives, seeing these opportunities, seeing these resources in front of them, and then taking those steps. And I can only imagine how grateful they are for those steps, being able to then hold that baby that they once were struggling with the decision.
Oh, it's my favorite part, when they come back with the babies and just want to thank us, and and we just say, you're the hero here. You're the one who chose life. You chose this path, and you're doing such a great job. Our counselors are just the most encouraging people I've ever met, and so it's just a beautiful thing to be able to see this little human being that will have such an impact. And we always talk about the cosmic effect of abortion, and then the cosmic effect of choosing life. And that is pro-love, to be able to just to exponentially grow in love with another child. That's
right, absolutely. So with all the stuff that's happening, we were talking about, the struggles and conflicts. Some states are, we're putting some new restrictions against abortion, which is a beautiful. But at the same time, we're seeing states that are just kind of opening the door to even more opportunities for abortion, which is terrible. What role do you see the Women's New Life playing in this future?
I think this is such an important concept right now, because we can get caught up in this just incredibly divisive state that we're in right now, but we can also say, what can I do? One little person in Louisiana, right? Well, what we can do is love, right? And how do we do that? We come together to support the women. So regardless of whether abortion is legal or illegal, there will be unplanned pregnancies. And so we have to be ready to step up and really love them, and provide them with resources. And this is not easy work, right? This is tough to be able to walk with someone in this difficult time, and also to help provide for them, for some of the fathers that aren't stepping up. So that's a big role that we have to play, but I know that we're, as pro-life and pro-love as we are in Louisiana, I know that we can do that, and we need to do that.
So how can we do that for you? What ways can our audience, can we take part of to help you grow your ministry and to help serve those that you're serving?
Well, I always say the most important thing that you can do is to pray for us.
Absolutely.
This is, of course, just life and death work here, and so just to pray for all of the staff members that really encounter these difficult moments where a woman is just in the throes of this crisis. But also, all of these services to women in unplanned pregnancies are free.
Wow.
And so the only way we can do that is through generous donations. So we have a beautiful donor base that continues to pour into this ministry generously, so that everything that comes to us, we can then offer to these
women.
women.
To those who need it
That's
most.
Right.
That's beautiful. So tell me some upcoming events to help you support your ministry and your cause.
Great. So we have our gala coming up in New Orleans on October 11th. We're so excited. It's been this event has been going on for the entirety of the life of this ministry.
Very successful event, by the way, I'm sure.
Yes, and very fun event. It's not a stuffy fundraiser. It's just a celebration of life, and we have a lot to celebrate this year.
Absolutely.
So that's coming up in the fall in October, and then we have our Born to Run in Baton Rouge. So we have that clinic in Baton Rouge that's doing beautiful work right next door to the abortion clinic, and that's in November 16th. It's a Saturday morning. So we invite all of our New Orleans friends to come to Baton Rouge for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Show some support. Now, where can we learn more information? Finding out more of this information about the events, and also about how we can maybe support financially some of the work that you're doing.
Yes, so we have a great website at womansnewlife.com. And also we have social media pages that you can learn more about what we do. Friends of Women's New Life Center. Awesome. We also have Hope Women's Clinic. That's a different website, but Hope Women's Clinic, that represents our outreach to for women's health. So it's an expansion of these beautiful services into women's health. It allows us to compete with Planned Parenthood's women's health services and really transcend what they're doing there, because we're affirming life.
That's right.
So yeah, you can reach us on that, and we also have our phone number, 504-496-0212.
Thanks again so much for being with us, and may God continue to bless you and all the work that you're doing. We'll be right back with more Faith in Marriage today.
Our vision for Women's New Life Clinic is to be a uniquely authentic women's medical and counseling clinic with a special focus on unplanned pregnancy support. All services support the furthering of a culture of life by providing a place where women are treated with dignity in the particularly vulnerable moments regarding their health and the sacredness of their bodies.
That is such a special place, and we really love all the work that they're doing. And now we welcome back our good friend, Dr. Tom Neal from the Catholic Community Foundation, to give us some more words about how our roles in the church and the world intersect.
It is crazy to think about that your church mission as a Catholic Christian is really about the world itself out there. It is, because if you think someone comes up to a priest after Mass one day and they feel their faith has come alive, for some reason they've come more back to their faith, and they say, "Father, how can I get involved in the church?" You might think Father might say, "Well, you can teach catechism, you can help out with Vacation Bible Study, you can join the men's group," and those are all excellent things. Be part of the church's life day to day at the parish level or in the school or whatever. And those are true, but the real mission, the real identity of the laity is not when I say to Father, how do I get more involved in my faith? What do I do in the church? Though it's that. But more than that, it's what do I do in the world that I'm in already? As I said, if I'm married, in my marriage, in my family life, if I have children, in my profession, in my job, wherever I find myself in the world, how can I make Christ alive and present in that world? How can I bless the world? How can I, in our language as Catholics, how can I consecrate the world, or make it sacred, or make it set apart to be in conformity with what God wants for it? So if I'm a businessman, for example, I'm going to live out my life as a businessman or a businesswoman in an ethical, just, fair, honest way. That's a way of bringing my faith out into the world.
All are invited to the Willwoods Community Annual Prayer Breakfast at 9 a.m. Monday, October 7th at the Bayou Oaks Clubhouse in City Park. Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise will speak about the healing power of prayer to triumph over spiritual, emotional, and physical pain. For tickets and information, call 504-830-3700 or visit willwoods.org.
Welcome back to Faith in Marriage today. All right, Jason, let's get into some specifics about how to have this conversation with our kids.
The key thing is remember is one, like have this conversation, but to remember the fact that we as parents are the best educators and best influencers in our children's lives regarding this topic. The research is clear on that. Jason Everett on his website, chastity.com, talks about that, where you can help the couples, you can help the kids understand your children, help them understand the beauty and the dignity. So more than a coach, more than a motivational speaker, more than a class taught at a school, you, the mom, the dad, have the greatest influence in educating them, particularly in this topic. So we shouldn't be afraid to have this conversation. In fact, we should be not just having the talk, but we should be having the talks, multiple, plural.
That's right, yeah. So the responsibility really falls onto us as parents to initiate this and to not be afraid. Beautiful. Yeah. So as we kind of move into this segment here, let's think about this in 3 stages when we think about having this conversation with our kids. Itty bitty, pre-K, kindergarten, not toddler, but that age. Then kind of get into elementary school, and then preteen, later teen. So when I think about talking to my kids and what's important for kids to know at the young stage, the very first thing that I want to really instill with them is revisiting the safe environment kind of protocols. Really speaking to your kids about the importance of their private parts, that they are private. What are the private parts? Those are the parts that your bathing suit covers up. And the only people that really need to see that is mommy and daddy and the doctor when the doctor needs to do a checkup. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, it's giving that ground rule. And I think, one of the things that you mentioned in the very beginning is that, we might have a hurt view of the body, maybe because of things that we did or we watched when growing up or whatever like that. But our kids haven't seen any of that. So their frame, their reference is different than ours. It's a blank slate. So again, having the courage to be able to have that conversation, to say that is not maybe what we might think of. It's a unique area for them to come to understand. So yeah, having that conversation, and then again, I put in the context of love, of God, how God created us male and female, and that the body is good, and that we shouldn't be ashamed of our bodies, but the bodies need to be protected and need to be cared for. And there's certain ways of dress, there's certain ways of acting that are inappropriate and that are appropriate. And then so helping them to kind of keep that mind on what is the good, what is the true, what is the beautiful at their age. I think they can still grasp those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're moving along, the undergirding kind of theme throughout all this is that it's good. Yeah. Your body's good. There's a reason for it. Relationships are good. All of that has a plan and a purpose. And so we want to instill that from the beginning and let that kind of undergird every conversation from then on out. So as the kids start getting a little bit older and we get into elementary school, you talk to 7, 8 was the age that you had with Jude. That's really the age that I encourage parents to really start having this conversation.
That's right.
My rule of thumb, honestly, is that if we believe that that's the age of reason and the kid is old enough to understand that the communion is Jesus, the kid's old enough to understand what his body's for or her body's for. And a way to begin a conversation with this is go out on a dad's night out or mom's night out, not some crazy, but be willing to have some privacy around this conversation. And a great way to really begin with the kids is, one, have you ever thought about where babies come from? You can ask them that. Or another question that you can initiate the conversation with is, have you ever noticed how different moms and dads are? Or mommy and daddy's bodies are? And see what they say. Maybe they've probably seen either one of them coming out of the bathroom or whatever, and ask them, well, what's the difference? And what do you think about those differences?
I think, and again, education for the parents. I reference chastity.com, but the theology of the body for me has been just so influential to in my life, of helping me to kind of reclaim what was stolen at an early age from the lies that I believed in about the body and the differences of male and female and what's the body for and all these things, and what's love and all that. So again, I come back to that importance of you can have these kind of conversations in a relaxed, like you're saying, this kind of a relaxed environment by talking to them and helping them to kind of get that base foundation and go to sources from the church and helping us to understand the beauty and the mystery of the body and helping them to understand, even at that early age, how beautiful and powerful these little conversations can be for them, because this is their foundation, not the TV, the movies and things that are coming out of left field and all that. Just something that is true and good and beautiful.
But even at 7, 8, 9, 10, there's an opportunity here for parents to really also ask their kids, have they already seen naked images at a friend's house or a grandparent's house or at the library or different places where someone's exposed something to them in a way, again, not physically, that sounded bad, but in terms of pictures. have they seen something that maybe they haven't been able to talk about? It's a great opportunity to begin that conversation with your kids, even at 7, 8, 9. They may say no problem, but they may say yes.
Yeah.
And if they said yes, you want to understand kind of what's going on there. So as we move on then to preteen and then teenagers, as we've been talking about with regards to love and fidelity and relationship and the theology of the body being undergirding, the kids also do need, well, Jude got it early on, like you said, with the real biological kind of changes that happen. A great opportunity that I recommend for parents to look at with regards to that specifically is the Archdiocese of New Orleans, the Family Life Office, does a wonderful father-son, mother-daughter program that beautifully articulates and lays out all the biological changes that happen with a boy and with a girl from preteen and all the way through puberty.
Yeah, I mean, these are great resources. We can turn to the church, and the church has so much to offer to us to be able to have these opportunities. So if it's not happening at your parish, encourage your pastor, your parochial vicar, your family life coordinator, the DRE, to when's the next one and how can we get this in our school or in our parish. But at the same time, we can also find out, well, can you help me go to the pastor or go to the parish and say, can you help me find something like that? Or like you said, go directly to the Family Life Office on their website and find out when the next one is and sign up for it, because it could be a great opportunity, again, in the context of the father or the mother helping the children, helping the child, the son or daughter, understand their body. And I think it needs to come not just from mom, it also needs to come from dad and mom together. They both have an amazing gift of explaining and expressing the truths of our faith in their own unique way to their children that God has given to them.
That's right. And so as kids get into puberty, the one thing I really want to encourage parents that are listening to this episode above everything else is to really say, this is not the time to really tease your kid when puberty's kicking in. Like, it's okay to have good-natured fun or whatever, but like as pimples are coming, as dandruff is coming, as smelly armpits are coming, as different awkward things are coming, this is the time for parents to really just encourage their kids and normalize the whole experience. And not just normalize it, but really kind of bless them and say, this is part of growing up, man. You're growing up, you know. Your armpits stick because you're coming, man. Smell my victory, you know. Like, this is part of it. Yeah, exactly. And here's a little deodorant, you know. So it's not the time to tease them because we're so sensitive at this age.
It is. It's
because
an
everything
stage,
is new.
absolutely.
It's an awkward stage, and awareness is changing. So we really want to encourage people to join with their kids as they're kind of walking through this, rather than being sarcastic. And then moving into now that we've had wonderful conversations throughout their whole childhood about love, about security, about relationships, the changes, they understand what's happening to them, they're able to process it subjectively, and they're experiencing it. Then we can start talking about dating and relationships and
the purpose
those
of,
feelings that they're having for the first time, how that fits within everything that we're talking about, what the purpose of dating is, and all of those things as well.
You give them the foundation. You've given them the truths. You've given them the goal and the focus, and then at the same time, you're giving them your awareness, like all throughout, like you were saying, every stage that you were mentioning. There's something to be careful of, like you said in the very beginning, like the appropriate touch and all that kind of stuff. That's earlier on, but then now we're setting another standard, another thing that they need to be careful of. And as they get older, there's new things to be aware of. So they need to be aware of the dangers, aware of how we can abuse this gift, but not in the sense of a bunch of no's, but in the great truth and understanding of who we are and what we're called to, and the gift and the beauty that is. So when they see that, I feel like that's going to be something that they can understand in their heart, because our hearts were made for this, and we need to encourage that and not be afraid to talk about it.
All great things, Jason. So as we're bringing this thing to a close, the one thing we want to encourage parents above everything else is to really pray with their kids. So whether any of these conversations along the way, please pray with them. And then to tell parents that, you're not alone in any of this. So the Faith and Marriage website, ours, is great. Chastity.com is a great website, Jason Everett. But then also the Archdiocese and Family Life website has a wonderful, wonderful slew of resources available for people.
Well, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you again next time. Until then, God bless.